Picture this. You've just been rejected by someone you cared about deeply. Your heart feels like it's been shattered into 1,000 pieces. Your mind races with questions about what went wrong, what you could have done differently. Sound familiar? What if I told you that this very moment of pain could actually become your greatest source of strength? Today we're diving deep into 8 profound Stoic truths about rejection that will completely transform how you view these painful experiences forever. But before we begin, let me share something that might surprise you. The ancient Stoics weren't emotionless robots who never felt pain. They were real people who faced real rejection, real heartbreak, and real disappointment. The difference was they developed a philosophy so powerful that it turned their greatest vulnerabilities into their most unshakable strengths. By the end of this video, you'll possess the same mental armor that helped emperors, slaves, and philosophers alike navigate life's most challenging moments with dignity and grace. The first Stoic truth about rejection is perhaps the most liberating. Rejection is never actually about you losing value as a person. When someone rejects you, whether it's a romantic interest, a job opportunity, or a friendship, the Stoics understood that this event says absolutely nothing about your inherent worth. Think about it logically for a moment. If your value as a human being could be diminished by another person's decision, that would mean your worth is dependent on external validation. But here's what the Stoics knew that most people never learn. Your value exists independently of anyone else's opinion or choice. Marcus Aurelius faced rejection from the Roman Senate multiple times throughout his reign. Did this make him less worthy of being emperor? Of course not. Epictetus was rejected by society itself, sold into slavery, yet he became one of history's most influential teachers. Their worth wasn't determined by external circumstances, and neither is yours. When you truly internalize this truth, rejection transforms from a devastating blow to your self-esteem into simply information about compatibility or timing. The second truth builds on this foundation. Rejection is actually a form of protection from incompatibility. The Stoics believe that everything happens for a reason, not in some mystical sense, but in the practical sense that outcomes often reveal information we couldn't see beforehand. When someone rejects you romantically, they're essentially telling you that the connection wasn't strong enough to sustain a meaningful relationship. Rather than fighting against this reality, the Stoics would see this as the universe protecting you from investing time and energy in something that wouldn't fulfill you long-term. Consider how much pain you'd experience if you entered a relationship with someone who wasn't genuinely interested in you. The constant doubt, the feeling of having to prove yourself, the eventual heartbreak when their lack of enthusiasm becomes impossible to ignore. The initial rejection actually spares you from this prolonged suffering. This perspective shift changes everything. Instead of feeling like something valuable was taken from you, you begin to see rejection as a gift of clarity and redirection. The third Stoic truth reveals the hidden opportunity within every rejection. It forces you to develop genuine self-reliance and inner strength. When everything is going smoothly and people are accepting you left and right, it's easy to become dependent on external validation. Rejection strips away this false security and forces you to find strength within yourself. The Stoics called this developing your inner citadel, an unshakable core of self-respect and confidence that no external event can touch. Every time you face rejection and choose to respond with dignity rather than desperation, you're building this inner citadel stronger. You're proving to yourself that your happiness and peace of mind don't depend on anyone else's approval. This isn't about becoming cold or distant from others. It's about developing such a strong relationship with yourself that other people's acceptance becomes a pleasant addition to your life rather than a necessity for your well-being. The fourth truth might challenge everything you've been told about persistence and never giving up. Sometimes the most powerful response to rejection is graceful acceptance and strategic withdrawal. Modern culture often promotes the idea that you should never take no for an answer. that persistence always pays off. The Stoics understood that this approach often stems from ego and attachment rather than wisdom. When someone clearly communicates that they're not interested, continuing to pursue them doesn't demonstrate love or dedication. It demonstrates a lack of respect for their autonomy and your own dignity. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of accepting what we cannot control. Someone else's feelings and decisions fall squarely into this category. When you accept rejection gracefully, you maintain your integrity and self-respect. You also leave the door open for future possibilities because people remember how you handle disappointment. Someone who respects boundaries and responds to rejection with maturity is far more attractive than someone who becomes pushy or bitter. The fifth Stoic truth about rejection addresses one of the most common responses people have to being turned down: the urge to change yourself to become more acceptable to others. The Stoics would see this as a fundamental misunderstanding of personal growth. Yes, we should always be working to improve ourselves, but the motivation matters tremendously. When you try to change yourself to avoid future rejection, you're essentially saying that who you are naturally isn't good enough. This creates an exhausting cycle where you're constantly trying to be someone you think others will find more acceptable. True Stoic self-improvement comes from a desire to become the best version of yourself for your own satisfaction and moral development. When you improve yourself from this foundation, rejection becomes less frequent naturally, but more importantly, it becomes less devastating when it does occur. You know you're putting your authentic self out there, so any rejection is simply a matter of compatibility rather than a judgment on your efforts to be someone you're not. The sixth truth reveals how rejection can actually accelerate your personal growth in ways that easy acceptance never could. When everything comes easily to us, we rarely develop the resilience and problem-solving skills that difficult experiences provide. Each rejection forces you to examine your approach, your expectations, and your emotional responses. This examination, when done with Stoic principles in mind, leads to profound insights about yourself and others. Think about the people you know who seem to handle life's challenges with unusual grace and wisdom. Almost without exception, these individuals have faced significant rejection and disappointment in their lives. They've learned through direct experience that their happiness and success don't depend on avoiding difficult emotions or always getting what they want. Instead, they've developed the ability to extract value and learning from every experience, pleasant or painful. The seventh Stoic truth about rejection focuses on the incredible power of reframing your narrative. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who gets rejected, you can choose to see yourself as someone who has the courage to be vulnerable and take meaningful risks. Most people never face rejection because they never put themselves in situations where rejection is possible. They stay safe, never asking for what they want, never pursuing their dreams with real conviction. By accumulating rejections, you're actually proving that you're living boldly and authentically. The Stoics understood that our interpretation of events shapes our experience far more than the events themselves. Two people can experience identical rejection, and one can spiral into depression while the other uses it as motivation to grow stronger. The difference isn't in their circumstances, but in their mental framework. When you choose to interpret rejection as evidence of your courage rather than proof of your inadequacy, you transform the entire experience from destructive to empowering. The eighth and final truth ties everything together. Mastering your response to rejection creates a positive feedback loop that makes you genuinely more attractive to others. This isn't about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about developing such genuine confidence and emotional stability that rejection doesn't shake your core sense of self. When you reach this level of inner security, several things happen simultaneously. First, you become more selective about who you pursue, because you're not desperate for validation from just anyone. This selectivity means you're more likely to pursue people who are actually compatible with you. Second, your lack of neediness makes you more appealing to others. People are naturally drawn to those who seem complete and confident on their own. Third, when you do face rejection, your calm and respectful response often leaves a positive impression that can lead to future opportunities. But perhaps most importantly, this mastery over rejection frees you to focus on what really matters, building genuine connections, pursuing meaningful goals, and developing yourself into someone you're proud to be. When the fear of rejection no longer controls your decisions, you can live with a level of authenticity and boldness that most people never experience. Let me share a practical framework for implementing these truths in your daily life. When you face rejection, start by taking a step back and examining your immediate emotional response without judgment. Notice if you're taking the rejection personally or seeing it as information about compatibility. Remind yourself that your worth as a person remains unchanged regardless of this outcome. Next, look for the protection and redirection that this rejection might be providing. Ask yourself honestly whether pursuing this particular opportunity or relationship was truly aligned with your values and long-term goals, or whether it was driven more by ego or fear of being alone. Often, rejection saves us from situations that wouldn't have served our highest good. Then, focus on what this experience is teaching you about yourself. Are there patterns in your rejections that suggest areas for growth? Not changes to make yourself more acceptable to others, but genuine improvements that align with your own values and goals. Are you perhaps pursuing people or opportunities that aren't well suited to who you really are? Finally, practice responding to rejection with grace and dignity. Thank the person for their honesty, wish them well, and move forward without burning bridges or harboring resentment. This practice strengthens your emotional resilience and maintains your integrity regardless of the outcome. The Stoics believe that every challenge we face is an opportunity to practice virtue and build character. Rejection is no exception. In fact, it might be one of the most powerful teachers we encounter because it strikes at some of our deepest fears about belonging and acceptance. When you learn to face these fears with courage and wisdom, you develop a kind of inner strength that serves you in every area of life. Remember that becoming invincible to rejection doesn't mean you'll never feel disappointed or hurt. It means you'll have the tools to process these feelings in a healthy way and extract value from every experience. You'll understand that your worth isn't determined by other people's opinions or decisions. You'll see rejection as information and redirection rather than personal attack or failure. This journey toward rejection immunity isn't always easy, but it's absolutely worth it. Each time you practice these principles, you're building psychological muscle that will serve you for the rest of your life. You're developing the ability to live authentically and boldly without being controlled by fear of what others might think or do. The ancient Stoics faced some of the same challenges we face today. They dealt with unrequited love, professional setbacks, social rejection, and personal disappointments. The wisdom they developed through these experiences has been tested across centuries and cultures. It's not theory, it's practical philosophy that works in the real world. As we conclude, I want you to consider this. What would your life look like if you were truly immune to the fear of rejection? What risks would you take? What conversations would you have? What dreams would you pursue? The 8 truths we've discussed today aren't just concepts to understand intellectually. They're tools to transform your relationship with one of life's most universal experiences. Starting today, you have the power to change how rejection affects you. You can choose to see it as protection, as a teacher, as evidence of your courage, and as a stepping stone to greater authenticity and strength. The Stoics understood that we can't control what happens to us, but we have complete control over how we respond. This response, more than any external circumstance, determines the quality and direction of our lives. Take these truths and begin applying them immediately. The next time you face any form of rejection, remember that you're not losing anything real. You're gaining information, building strength, and moving closer to connections and opportunities that truly align with who you are. This is the path to becoming genuinely invincible, not through avoiding rejection, but through transforming your relationship with it completely. If this video has given you a new perspective on handling rejection, make sure to subscribe for more practical wisdom from ancient philosophy. Share this with someone who might benefit from these insights, and let me know in the comments which of these 8 truths resonated most with you. Remember, every great philosopher started as a student, and every master of rejection began with a single choice: to see setbacks as setups for comebacks.